Got something new for the truck. This is one of the things I've actually been hoping to buy shortly after getting the truck. And what it is from Victory 4x4, and it is their bed mount Molle panel system. There we go. If the bag will stay out of the way. There we go. So each section is in two pieces, but these will go down both the driver's and passenger side bed sides of our truck, and then I'll be able to mount axes, fire extinguisher, stuff like that on this system. So that is one of our next projects, and we will get working on this. So I spent a decent amount of time just going through all the parts that come with the kit and organizing everything before I get started. I know it's not necessary, but it just helps me make things go a little bit smoother and just work out easier. So I spent the extra time to lay it all out. They had two different sizes of nuts, as one of the bolts was a fine thread, the others were coarse thread. And those were so close that I had to actually test fit them on the bolts to figure out which ones were which, but got that figured out. Putting the panels together was fairly straightforward. There's three bolts with three different nuts that hold the panels together, and then there are brackets that are attached to the bottom that actually bolt onto some riv nuts that will be mounted in the bed later. So I was just working on getting all that done, getting it all lined out so that I could just take it out to the truck and put them in pretty quick. And it was nice to be able to do this. I also turned on Victory 4x4's installation video to help out as well. Well, now that we got both sides put together, it's time to start working on putting them back here. One thing is that I've been using the 1x8s per the description that Chevy gave me, so that I can put full sheets of plywood in here. The tailgate has these latches on the side that you put the cable through to hold the back of the tailgate up. And between that and the two boards back there, you can lay 4x8 sheets of plywood flat in the back of the truck, which I've done quite often actually. And with the Molle panels, the Molle panels are actually going to cover this groove here, so this back one won't fit anymore. The front one still will, but this back one won't. So I'll have to take that into consideration. Might have to come up with some kind of interesting addition so that I can still every once in a while take 4x8 sheets in the truck, because I do like to do that. But now I need to get the bed cleaned out and get the panels up here and start looking at getting them put in. Ironically, I had just done a trip to Home Depot where I needed the boards in for some 4x8 sheets of plywood that I bought for some closet doors. So we had those in place. And that's my Smitty built air compressor. I always keep that with us. It was a pretty quick cleanup though. Might be a little hard to see. What I'm going to do now is that these are plastic caps. There's 3 of them. I'm going to pull those out so that these brackets can get mounted in there to secure the top of the Molle panels. So I used a plastic vehicle tool that I bought at Harbor Freight to get the pieces of plastic out, and it worked out really well. These brackets just need to be centered in that indent, and it was really easy to do. Had no issues getting them tight. I did have a little bit of issues aligning up the 3 bolts that screw into those brackets, but other than that, it went on pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. I'll link Victory 4x4's video, hopefully in the description if I remember right. There goes into much better detail than what I'm doing here. But now that I've got those brackets put on, I put the 3
screws in to hold this in place. Now I have to align it where I want it. After I get it leveled where I want, I need to mark each of these 4 holes and then drill those holes out. And then I've got some riv nuts to go in there. And then once those are marked, you pull this back off, drill the holes, mount the riv nuts, then put it all back together, including the lower bolts as well. And then you're done. So it's a pretty easy mounting system. Seems to be well built, good heavy metal. It's actually got a lot of weight to it. I wasn't expecting that much weight. It's got 3 different tie down points on each bracket. So once you get it all bolted down, good and solid, yeah, should be good to go. But we'll keep working on it and show you as we progress.
After having all the holes marked, I had a center punch that I used to center punch, and then I used a smaller drill bit to start the holes before going to their included drill bit, which was just the right size for the riv nuts. I went ahead and used my riv nut tool. I mentioned this later in the video too. They do give you the necessary parts to do it without the tool. And one thing I did find with the tool is I over tightened the first couple. These are a smaller riv nut than I used on the Tidewood, which were like 1/2 inch and had a lot more strength to them. And I found just 1 compression with the tool was enough for these.
Well, I got all the riv nuts installed. I have a riv nut tool. I bought it for working on the Tidewood, so I already had it. They do give you with the kit bolts and spacers that you can put the riv nut on and then use a socket and a wrench to tighten those in place. But since I have the tool, that's what I'm using. But now that all of the 3 of the brackets are up and all the riv nuts are in, I just need to screw this side in place.
So again, the only issue I had installing these panels was the initial lining up of all of the bolt holes on the brackets and the riv nuts on the floor. Once I got each bolt started loosely, then I was able to tighten everything up and it worked good.
So there ends up being 3 screws on the top, 4 screws on the bottom, 7 screws in total. I've got them all in, just need to be tightened, and then this side is done. And we just have the other side to do. Well, we got the passenger side in. All the bolts are tight. Sits nice and flush in there. I really like the way it sits. And now I just got to install the driver's side. So we'll get to that and we'll bring you back when that's done. Got the driver's side and the passenger side mounted. This is the second item I've had from Victory 4x4. I think their products are really well made, well constructed. The last one, the underseat storage, I did have to find some longer bolts out of my own stash for a couple of spots, but everything else was just spot on. One thing I will say about this is when you buy them as one kit per side, and I bought 2 at once. And I ended up with 2 full kits, and this is the leftover hardware. I don't know if they redesigned something or if they gave me 2 kits when I was only supposed to get 1, but I've got a lot of extra hardware here. The other thing I found with these riv nuts is these are a lot smaller. I was using like 1/2 inch on my Tidewood for some of the things I was doing on there. And what I found with this is on my tool, I just do 1 tighten and 1 squeeze of the handle. If I do any more than that, I'm really twisting these out of shape. So I learned that doing the process, but they are installed. I now have 3 sets of these quick fists. Let me get one out here. And I'm going to mount those up so that I can put shovel, axe, hatchet, stuff like that up on those. And I also have an idea for my air compressor. I have this Smitty built air compressor. These zippers work a lot better when you do it two-handed. Oh, hang on. Okay. So this is my Smittybilt air compressor. What I'm considering doing with this is building a bracket for it and getting it mounted like right on the wheel well on a bracket. And then run the wires up underneath the hood, still using the clamps, but just have them run up underneath the hood so that when I need it, I can pop my hood, clamp it on, turn it on, use it, but that it's mounted on the Molle panel on the side there, so it's like permanently mounted. And then I can just pull the hose up over the side to get to all 4 tires. I think that would be a lot easier than trying to pack it in and out. I haven't completely decided on that, but I do think I'm going to build a bracket for it that sits right there and attach it to the Molle panel, even if it just sits there and I pull it out to use it or wire it and leave it in place. That I don't know yet, but so I'm going to work on that. I've got a fire extinguisher mount, so I can put a fire extinguisher back here as well. We'll get that stuff mounted up and bring you back then. Got it wrapped up for the evening. Got dark outside, so I had to back the truck into the garage, but got my axe, my hatchet, my shovel mounted to the driver's side. And then over here I've got my fire extinguisher. I really like this fire extinguisher mount. It's kind of handy. So it straps in, but you pull a lever on the back side. I'll try to do this one-handed, and it comes out. So you can pull the fire extinguisher out, but it's specifically made, oops, for Molle panels. There we go. And then it's back on. I'll link that one in the description below. The ratchet strap holding the jack on is temporary. I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to mount the jack. I took the jack out from underneath the rear seat because we put that Victory 4x4 underseat storage underneath there, and it just took up so much space I couldn't keep what I wanted to keep underneath the back seat. So that has been temporarily strapped to the Molle panel. It works. It's good and solid. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So I do like that, but I do want to come up with something more permanent and easier to deal with. And then I already mentioned the Smittybilt air pump over there. I'm going to build a bracket for it that sits on that wheel well. I'm just trying to decide whether I have that as just a storage or have that as a fixed spot that I leave it as long as the flexible line in it is long enough, or if I guess I buy another one because they have quick disconnects on each end. I don't know exactly what I'm doing with that yet, but we'll work on that down the road and figure something out for it. And yeah, I like it. They're good and solid. They're going to hold the tools that I want to hold in here, and pretty darn happy with it. Victory 4x4. Good company. Another purchase we just made for the truck is I bought some more parts for my dash mount Ruby grid system from Bullet Point. And what it is I got 2 ball mounts, and this is a action camera mount that will go to one of the balls. And then the other ball mount is for, they sell a adjustable clamp style holder that will hold the RV rear view camera screen. And what it'll do is both of those ball mounts mount to our Ruby Grid dash mount system that I have my cell phone mounted to. So there's 4 screws. You can take that top off. I'm going to mount those balls where I think they should be for our different accessories and then reinstall it. This will be a nice quick one. So 4 simple Phillips head screws. Take those out and the whole system pops out. And now I can access the back of it to mount both of the ball mounts, and then we'll get it reinstalled. Got all of the ball mounts on. This will be for our action camera. It'll be really nice to have it up there and hands-free, just push the button. I like to get footage of some of the awesome scenery we drive through, and this way, you know, everybody can focus on what they need to focus on and not on messing with a camera. Sonja's not going to have to think about what to film as we drive through different terrain. She's just going to be able to enjoy and take pictures with her camera, and I can just reach up, push the button, and continue on with driving with no issues. And then I mounted this ball furthest over as I could. So the screen for our RV camera is relatively large, and just wanted it spaced as far as possible so it doesn't interfere with everything else, and everything else is easy to get to. So we will get this installed. And just like that, it is installed and ready to go. I've been super happy with this bullet point ruby grid mount for my cell phone. The clamp for the cell phone holds it really, really well. I've had no issues of it coming loose. It does not vibrate when we're driving down the road. It's easy to get the phone in and out. And I bought these other attachments from Bullet Point as well because I really like their quality, and we will have a chance to try them out here soon, and we'll let you know how they go. I hope you guys are enjoying some of these different videos of showing some of the modifications and changes we're doing to our vehicle. And now I think it's time to get into some sewing.
I am trying to work on a quick and easy project. I'm going to be using some Sew Light fusible interfacing and fusible web, and I'm going to be putting on these pieces, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm making. See if I can do this. So you put a paper side down, 2 to 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, in the interest of just doing things off the cuff, I drew myself a little cupcake, and now I'm going to make a little cupcake quilt because March is my birthday and I want to have a little quilt that says happy birthday. So that's what I'm doing. This is just the start. I've done the fusible web, so I'm going to get it on there, and then I'm going to do some embroidery on it. I'm going to figure out what other fabric. I do want to do some little tiny blocks, I think along the side or along the bottom. I'm not sure which way I'll do it. And then I have some cute birthday fabric that I'm going to do for the border. Figured I should show it. This is the cute little birthday fabric. Had it for forever. I think I got it at a shop pop years ago when they actually gave away a free fat quarter. I think it was one of them that was, I think it was a shop that was down in Schmalt or Chiloquin or something, Schmalt. And they didn't have very many options, and I thought this one was cute. I like the bright colors. So I have thought forever that I should make something cute and birthday out of it, and so now I'm going to. I have got my little pieces onto my background. I did realize my background, I cut it bigger than I had planned, so I'm going to cut it shorter at some point. I'm not sure how short. Probably will finish doing my embroidery and then I'll trim it. I do want to use, I have some little beads here. I'm not sure whether I'll use the bugle beads or just the little round ones, but I want to put some beads on here to make it look like sprinkles, as well as doing my embroidery. So that's what I'm going to work on next. Okay, I am starting to make little blocks to go alongside my cupcake. So I made these. If you've ever seen, there's a YouTuber called Mary Maybell Market, and she has a way to use scrap blocks that I think is really intriguing. So you're just taking your scrap, they're actually rectangles, not squares, slightly wider than tall. You slice them and then you put them together to make the little pinwheel blocks. So there's basically no waste, and it's really easy to do. And I thought I really liked the idea. I like pinwheel blocks anyway, but I wanted something that was just a little bit different, and this gave me a chance to try this out. So what I did was I started with, I think it was 2 by 2.5 inch squares or rectangles of my green and my blue. And so I'd also done, this as a possibility, decided to use the darker blue. So yes, let's see, let's check the measurement. 2 inches by 2.5 inches is what I started with. 8 green pieces, 8 blue pieces. I sliced them this way. I think I went in 7/8 of an inch. Somewhere I wrote this down, but I don't know where right now. And then I just put the pieces together, put those pieces together and made the little blocks. So I ended up with something that is right around 3.5 inches. I do want this a little bit smaller. I wasn't sure what size I was going to want, whether I wanted to make 2-inch ones and make my cupcake 6 inches, or if I wanted to make it bigger. And I decided what I would do is I wanted 2.5 inch finished so that my cupcake area is 7.5 inches. So I am cutting this down right now to 3 inches, which is of course my unfinished size, which will then be 2.5 inches finished when I get it put together. So I am just trimming this, lining up my 1.5 inch line along the seam and along this seam. Cut it. And there I have my 3 blocks. Aren't they cute? I love pinwheels. Pinwheels are awesome. So I'm just going to put these together, you know, nest these seams here and stitch that, and then do the same thing here, nest those seams and then there, and then I'll have my little side blocks. Okay, here's how I plan on, I got this laid out. I need to just stitch it together. Got my cute little things here. I may put that on the other side, I'm not sure, but I want to put the little pink gingham fabric in between them, and then this will be the border. And so getting it ready to put together, and then we'll go on with the next part. It's cute, isn't it? Got the piecing done, so I have my little quilt top done. Now I need to look at my batting scraps. I'm going to Franken bat together a little batting piece for this, figure out what I'm going to use for the back, because I haven't picked that yet. I'm not putting the back on yet, but I'm going to put the batting on and then do my embroidery for my cupcake, because that will help like quilt it, because when I do the quilting I will probably just go around the outside. I might go around the shape, but probably not. It's just going to be a wall hanging, so it's not like it's getting high use. It's not going to be in the washing machine a lot or anything like that. So, but I need to get those things picked and then get on to the next step, which of course after the Franken batting would be doing the embroidery. As I got ready to start working on my little birthday quilt today, I realized that I did show getting it put together, but I didn't video anything else after that point. So I have picked some little beads and I have stitched those on. I did all the little stitching around each of the items. For the little plate here, I did a blanket stitch, and then I took a metallic gold thread and I actually just threaded it through there. So it's basically couching, but I didn't put it down first and then stitch over the top of it. I actually threaded it through because I wanted it to look like a little gold rim around the plate. I did blanket stitch on the others, and then I did just a few stitches to kind of give texture to the frosting. The beads, when I did them, I kind of laid them out because I wanted to see how many I needed, and I thought, oh, I like this. But now the problem is I have to move it to be able to stitch it, and once I move it, they're just going to be gone. I did take a picture, but I thought this is going to be a pain to have to look at a picture and be like, oh, it's probably right about there. So what I did was I got my glue pen, and I got a little pair of needle nose pliers, and I would pick up the bead, and then I would run it across the top there. You can kind of see the little gouges from them. And then I set it down and pressed it onto the fabric. So it had just a tiny, tiny bit of glue. And then I left it. I wasn't sure how that would work. It worked reasonably well. I did have probably 4 or 5 of them that kind of popped off as I was stitching. But it was like I came up right next to the bead, and when I went to run the needle through, it would pop off. Well, I've already got my stitch there, so I know where it's supposed to go. So that really wasn't a problem. I think I had 2 that actually just popped off and escaped, and I had to figure out where they had been. But anyway, so I got these stitched on. So I have sprinkles on my cupcakes, and I did some buttons purple, yellow, and green. And I think that looks really cute. So pretty much the top is done. I did debate writing happy birthday on the top, but I didn't really want to do happy birthday. I kind of feel it looks empty. My husband said he thinks it looks fine. I'm hoping it does look fine. If I think of something later to add, fine. But until then, we're just going to leave it like this. So now I'm getting ready to do I got to pick my backing and do my binding. So for the binding, I want to do the binding with a flange like I've done on a number of quilts. I like the little skinny strip of other color, and I figured with this fabric, a little bright pop of color around the edge will look, I mean, that's how this is going to be. It's going to look fantastic. I did have to figure out, because I don't want to do a double binding. I want to do a single. I've seen lots of instructions on how to do it with double. None was single, so I had to kind of figure it out. So had some of my scrap fabric from my Arizona quilt, and so I cut it down to the size I thought I needed and made my measurements, and then figured out adding seam allowance. So I need to pick which fabric I'm doing. Now I'm going to use the same fabric that I used for the border, will be the binding, and I've just trimmed this. So I have strips that are 1.5 inches. I might go down to 1 3/8. That was my one thing I wasn't sure about, is how wide I want the other binding. So I'm cutting the larger size, and then I'll pin it and fold it over and see what I think of it. If I'm happy with it, we'll leave it at that. If not, I can trim off a little extra. But now I have to figure out what color I'm going to use for my little pop of color and what I want for my back. So I have a bright blue that I was considering, and I have a bright pink. If I use the blue for the back, I don't have enough to do the binding. So this one I do have plenty of, so I could use it for both, which is kind of what I was thinking. I had a little scrap. Here's my little scrap. So I have the pink, I have a blue, and then it would have binding. So I'm not sure which color I want to do. I think I will do the pink for the back regardless of which I do for the binding, but I need to decide if I want blue around the edge or pink around the edge. So that's my next step, is making decisions, which is really boring on video. So I'm going to stop now and think about this, and then I will hopefully remember to come back to the video and show you what I'm doing. I'm back for a few. So I did get started on my binding. I got up to the first corner and started going around. I did stop long enough to make my hanging loops because I want to make sure I have those on there. And then I got all this pinned ready to go, and then I just got interrupted, and now it's pretty much bedtime. So this is as far as I'm going to get. I hate stopping when I'm this close, but I know that even this close is still going to take a while to finish. So this is where we're at, and I guess we'll finish it up on the next video. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.